I saw this video about brain rot, and I, like all of us, I'm affected by it, so let's watch it.
Delicious brain rot.
Skibbity Fortnite. Why do you look so confused? Have you never been a Sigma rizzing up a Flowberry Burst yacht?
I don't know. Am I the only person who sees something like that and just sort of feels like that it's too... It's cringe not because it's trying to be cringe, but it's cringe because it wants to be cringe by trying to be cringe. Does that make sense? It's too overacted. It gives me this vibe of like, yeah, I don't know. Let's move it on, sis.
In Reckless Railways?
It's the catch-all term describing the past few years of low-quality yet massively popular internet culture.
Yeah, so this is an interesting thing that I think about all the time too. People always say low-quality internet culture. I mean, let's go back to like, hold on. Let's just go here. Is this the... Does he have anything? Does she have anything still on the internet?
Last night, David Tennant appeared out of thin air, and he started. Hammers are delicious. And
like, this is what the internet used to be. People love to say that old school internet content was so much better or whatever, but like,
hi, Mr. Davis. Man, I have a lot of yellow going on
this
today,
is what the
but that's
internet
very
used to
besides
be.
the point. So today I was walking around in the store. Oh man, something caught my eye. And it was just like, bam, right in my face. And I was like, what? Usher the rapper has his own fragrance. Just a shh. I bought that. Would my life be like this?
I do it for the ladies.
This is all it used to be. That's all it used to be. It's just people talking into cameras. There is no golden age of the internet where everyone was putting out really amazing content and it was all good. The majority of everything has just been terrible. There is just more people on the internet now than ever. So everything is just created by everyone. So you have a pie and a sliver of it, like half of that pie was terrible, low effort, brain rotting content. But that pie has gotten huge now, so that sliver is just like impossible to hold up with our little brains.
From skibbity toilet to lobotomy memes, to even subjects in offline spaces, Brainrot is an incredibly flexible and easy to apply piece of slang. It can apply to shitposting, to YouTube Kids, to any content.
Brainrot is any kind of content that you watch that makes you dumber, that makes you think less, that turns your brain off. That's what Brainrot is. Boom, saved you the video.
Quantity. Ultimately, it perfectly describes the effects of prolonged exposure to a fast-paced online world.
But if you guys don't think that if you guys don't think that these videos were brain rotting, if you really don't think that these videos...
Matt? What the hell is that? What are you doing in there? What do you think people do in the bathroom? Using the toilet? I'm peeing myself!
That was brain rot. That was brain rotting people back then. It's just what it is. It's what the internet does. It's okay. We've all been having it happen to us for decades now, and we're all completely fine. Just try to limit how much time you spend scrolling on TikTok. Make sure that you're clicking on content that you want to see and you're not letting the algorithm feed you stuff. That's the best way.
Grab the attention of the viewer and ensure that they swipe to the next piece for hours on end without gaining any meaningful stimulation from the act. People will often describe themselves as brain-rotted in relation to this phenomenon, joking that their own minds have been irreversibly damaged by the horrors of social media. One could liken online brain rot to...
People just want some kind of moniker to attach to themselves in order to differentiate themselves from other people. And when all you do is scroll social media, they try to wear it with a badge. I'm brain rotted. I'm just so brain rotted now. And I'll say that too, but it's just a silly thing. It doesn't mean anything. It's not... Is social media bad for us? Probably. Is it worse for us than lead paint or asbestos or microplastics or any of these other things? Is it worse for us than war? Is it worse than the Black Plague? Probably not. Humans are resilient people. We'll be okay. It might not be us. America might lose the war and China might become the world dominant superpower, but you know, we'll be fine as a species, probably, unless, you know, Yellowstone supervolcano or a meteor or something. We'll probably be okay. I'm not that worried, is what I'm trying to say. You can't worry about stuff like this. Existential crisis that is going to wipe us out or do something terrible to all of us that you have no control over. You only have so much worry in you. You need to worry about the things that are important specifically to you.
The endless halls of poker machines, with players tapping and dancing at their screens plastered with unknowable flickering lights and joyful
Have you guys seen the video of the guy who goes in with $1,000? He's like, I'm going to bet this all in this one machine. And he just is tapping the button so fast that it literally doesn't even have time to show him what the screen is. And then before you know it, he's at zero and he goes, well, I guess it's time to go to Gamblers Anonymous.
Back when YouTube Kids had autoplay enabled by default, children would watch Brainrot content for hours and hours on end, racking up terrible animation channels, millions of views, and tons of cash.
That was the thing back in the day, right? The meta was to make a children's animation channel and make all these horrific, terrible little songs and goofy videos, and kids would just watch them and watch them and watch them. You know, I'm aware of the idea of giving your kid an iPad because you just need a break from the kid, and I totally get that, but you do have to do some kind of work to make sure that they're still developing in the way that they need to develop, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't have kids. I don't want to have kids. Props to anyone who does have kids. Just please make sure that you raise the next generation decent.
Leading to massive criticisms of this practice, such as Elsagate. As such, this video seeks to explore the concept of brain rot and pin down exactly where it is seen the most and why.
Thank you, yeah!
Whilst it's unclear who coined the term, brain rot started seeing...
I am so into slime right now. Every time I see a video of people scooping slime and stuff, it just does such a thing to me. And I think that I'm going to try to make some slime and see about creating different kinds and all that and different, you know, varieties. Because, man, it just looks so... And that's not slime. That's some kind of... like moon sand or something, but slime just does something for me.
Major success when applied to the phenomenon, whereupon Subway Surfers footage, or Minecraft parkour, or those videos of soaps being cut dead, or Family Guy clips were all the rage on TikTok. As such, Brainrot shorts, or Brainrot TikToks, are commonly positioned together as phrases, as the concept of watching ultra-low quality content in high doses injected straight into one's eyeballs on a daily basis is generally...
And there's... One of the things that I hate most about TikToks and all of that kind of content is the fact that it's made in a way to get tons and tons of views and to farm, and it doesn't give you any kind of quality in return. They don't try at anything. Just this short video of her with this text on it that takes a really, really, really long time to read, and then the video loops 10 or so times before you can read through the content is so frustrating and annoying because you know that it's literally just made to farm views. I stay off of TikTok and I stay off of Reels quite a bit at this point. My use of them is significantly lower, and I only watch them whenever I literally just want to zone out and do nothing because I'm burned. But man, it's so annoying that people aren't even trying at content whatsoever, that they're literally just trying to get views, that's the only thing that matters to them is getting views, and they don't understand that getting views without any kind of skills whatsoever doesn't translate into anything. You're not going to make a bunch of money just because you have a bunch of followers because you make videos like this. It just doesn't work like that.
Associated with what the worst of social media has to offer. So-called satisfying videos would crowd the screens so much that the actual main content originally presented in a short would be heavily obscured, and the end result is a constant overstimulation destroying the brain. At this point, the onus of brain rot is also
this is absolutely terrifying.
Applied to certain generations of children. Generally, the ones who grew up watching YouTube videos on autoplay on their iPads, aka iPad kids. Of course, this assumption seems to apply to Generation Alpha, but before then it was Zoomers and Millennials using...
Yeah, and this is what I was trying to say a little bit ago, is that we've been doing this forever. I mean, we spent hours and hours and hours on MySpace doing literally nothing, just writing blogs about ourselves and trying to pretend like we were rock stars and just wasting our time. So I don't think there's anything wrong with a child wasting a huge section of their life. I think it's almost worse when I see a child who's trying to emulate adult life too much. When you see a child who's 9, 10 years old and they're out there in a grocery store holding up a bag of cereal and they're like, "You think this cereal is good for you? It's got sugar in it." Yeah, we know, dude. We've been knowing that. Please go and watch your iPad videos.
Using social media too, and before then, Gen X and baby boomers were considered the TV generations. And going back even further in history, it turns out even novels were considered brain rot because you weren't actively learning anything for reading a fictional story. Seriously, there was massive outrage regarding the hobby of reading for pleasure, which was described as addictive and antisocial, which sounds extremely familiar.
There is a narrative that is always being put on. There is a narrative that everything is constantly getting worse, that the world is falling apart more than it absolutely ever has, and that as time goes on, the current young generation is the problem. And I just don't believe that to be true. There's a quote, I can't remember who the quote's from, but there's a quote that says something along the lines of every generation thinks that their generation will be the one that the world ends under, but our generation is the one that actually is going to, is the quote. And it's such a silly way to think and to look at the world. It's been around for a very long time. It will probably continue to be around for a very long time. There will always be clever people who see problems in constant escapism and will move the world forward in some kind of way. The problem is that if you want to be part of the crew that is moving the world forward, letting yourself get caught in constantly consuming brain-rotting content and just wasting all of your time will stop you from being part of that crowd. It's a personal problem more than it is a societal problem, because there will, like I said, there will always be people who make their way out.
Many also compare the popularity of early 2010s Gmod humor to the modern trends of the 2020s, demonstrating the fact that what may appear as mindless brain rot at first glance is often constructed with a story in mind. Due to this, the generational attack against Gen Alpha is quite unfair, although it does work to encourage rage bait and thus may be—
Generational attacks against any generation are unfair. They did it to Gen Z, they've done it to millennials, they're doing it to Gen Alpha now. It's totally just a thing that the older generation thinks that they're better than us because they're more mature and older than us. But I'll tell you the truth about it is that a lot of people who are in the older millennial generation or even the generation above are still just sitting around playing video games and not really doing a whole lot with their lives. Just because you've gotten older and just because you live in a house and you have a kid and you have a wife and you're working a job or whatever doesn't mean that you're better than other people who haven't done those things yet. If you're still seeing these people, then you must be in places that those people are, and that says way more about you than it does them. Kids are supposed to do dumb stuff. Young people are supposed to waste their 20s. That's the way the world works. That's the way it's always worked, and it's not going to stop suddenly because we're now technologically advanced or whatever. It's just not
fun for some to exploit.
They're just going to waste their time in ways that look more and more disturbing and strange to older people because they didn't grow up with those ways of wasting their time. But I don't have any problem with it. When I see young people and I roll my eyes at them, it's always just because they are young people. I don't know how to explain that to anyone who's not my age or older, but teenagers at the gym behave like teenagers at the gym, and they're annoying and cringy and lame, and that's just what they do. It's okay. I was annoying and cringy and lame when I was a teenager. I was loud and obnoxious. I thought everything was about me, and I thought everything was an opportunity to make myself the center of attention. Now that I've gotten older, I realize that that's not the point, that I can go out and be quiet and be off by myself doing the thing that I need to get done and not disturbing somebody else. And that's what maturing is. But when you look at young people, you shouldn't hate them because they're young. That's just such a dumb thing. You were young too.
Algorithms are in charge of spreading this content, often encouraging videos to watch the clips with the most engagement, which just so happens to be slapped onto GTA 5 footage or Minecraft parkour or videos of people peeling soap, aka brain rot. In fact, social media companies prefer brain rot content to be the norm, as it ensures high retention levels.
Totally.
A metric that tech executives absolutely adore because it means audiences are giving their attention.
The more terrible content there is, the longer people will search for something good, because when you are active on a site where you are just flipping through content and trying to have the algorithm give you something, what you're doing is the same thing as foraging. You're looking for something worth watching. And in fact, one of the biggest challenges that I had when I started this channel was trying to find decent content to react to, because I had spent so much time being away from it and away from looking for content that I had lost some of that skill level, and I had to gain it back. And now that I've been working on that for long enough and I've started to gain some of it back, it's gotten easier. But that's the main problem that you have, is that you're captured because your brain is searching for a good thing. And the longer they go without giving you the good thing, the longer you're going to be on that app.
To an app designed to take advantage of human biology. Of course, this idea is one that has been reflected in pop culture for many years too. There's this fantastic comic called Tokyo Ghost that illustrates the idea of brain rot being taken to its extreme logical limit brilliantly. The comic is set in the future of 2089, in a world where everyone is addicted to watching shows and social media. One of the main characters, a hulking man named Led Dent.
Well, this was done in Idiocracy, and it was done in Black Mirror in the 1 million credits episode, or 10 million credits, whatever it was, that episode. This idea that people will become so addicted to content that they will do almost anything to consume it endlessly, even work for free. Like in the Black Mirror episode, they pedal on these bikes for extremely long hours to earn credits to purchase in-game items for their little virtual avatars and to skip ads on videos and all of that stuff. So, I mean, this is a pretty common notion at this point. And I do somewhat think that it's true. People are amazing and incredible and intelligent and able to solve unbelievable problems that seem impossible to solve. But in mass, the general masses of people are uneducated. That's how it works. The education process is a lifelong process that you develop over time. You always have more and more to learn. And the younger you are, or the less educated you are, the more susceptible you are to things. I mean, it's just the truth of the matter. And especially as you get much, much older, in your 50s and 60s, if you've taken a lot of time off of educating yourself and you're just living in this world, I mean, look at how many boomers are being caught by AI image generation and not realizing it's real. Go on Facebook. Tiff's been showing me this all the time recently. Go on Facebook and look at all the AI generated recipes that are on there with AI generated photos accompanying them. It'll be, blueberry cheesecake pancakes. It'll be this horrible AI generated video or AI generated image of blueberry cheesecake pancakes, and then a recipe that was written by an AI, and no one's even tested it out yet. And it has 1,000 likes and all these comments. Oh, yummy. This looks so good. All those kinds of things. But it's the world we live in. You have to be aware of what things are, or else you're going to be trapped. The reason that animals are so easy to catch in a trap is because they don't know what a trap is. But if you know what a trap is, then you can avoid it.
Is constantly jacked into watching his newsfeed at all times, to the point where he becomes easy to manipulate and totally disconnected from the rest of the world, to the point that it has become a drug for him, blinding him to the fact that he's committing extremely violent acts without realizing exactly what he's doing. It's the perfect representation of how brain rot can manifest in a story, satirizing the very real fact that humanity is being bombarded with an overwhelming amount of information every single day, all designed to get us addicted to watching just one more video.
Yeah.
You can see the same thing with the 2008 film WALL-E. It's well known that social media is designed to provide dopamine with every single like and every single click, so that we keep looking at it for as long as possible in order for tech companies to sell user data.
Yeah.
That dopamine hit can be habit forming, and for some
well, and that's the truth, is that in the words of Brakens, they're using us like a resource, and that's just the truth of it. There's such a business right now in taking our attention and putting it into something else, putting it into another business's product. And I mean, look at the amount of money that they charge people in order to get them to run ads on these videos, because they know that it works. Marketing is such a shrewd, interesting thing that happens, because marketing isn't something that you do just by posting a video of your product. The marketing concept is that you show somebody something so much that they start to associate it with something else. So if you have a React channel and you want to get yourself out there, you get yourself in front of people as much as humanly possible, so that then they start to associate you with React videos. And then when they see something and they want to hear other people's opinion on it, you're the person that they go to in order to see that. If you want people to associate your car insurance company with good insurance rates, you get them when they're young. You show them that these commercials over and over again, that you have good car insurance rates. And then when they get older, they remember, well, go to the general and say, so for a great low quote, What is the line for a great low rate you can get online? Go to the general and save some time. That one. So then people go to the general and look for it. That's how marketing works. It's not trying to get you to move to action right now. It's trying to implant seeds into your brain that grow over a very long period of time. Because our thoughts are really strange and mysterious that way. They sort of come and go, they bloom and they wither away. And if they can put seeds in there early, then by the time that it's time for you to go into the market for something like that, that's who you'll get caught by.
Social media addiction can be a very real problem, leaving them feeling worn out and tired after a day of watching mindless brain rot.
Yeah.
It's not as if all social media content is brain rot. With a varied and balanced array of information, it can be totally fine to just chill out and watch your favorite YouTubers or gaming videos or whatever niche hobby you might have. But when it gets to hours and hours of watching exactly the same thing without any change, it can become a serious mental health issue as you fall into stagnation and cognitive
11 hours a day on your phone. I mean, there have been times where I've reached numbers like that, but usually it's because of some kind of background process that I'm running on my phone. I don't think there's ever been a time where I've been on my phone for 11 hours watching videos, but I could see how it could happen. It's very easy for people to get caught that way, and it's very easy to ruin your sleep because you're just spending all of your time at night on your phone watching videos and you think, oh, I'm just winding down. But no, you're being amped up constantly. You're seeing good things and bad things. They're playing with your emotions and they're keeping you viewing.
decline. On that note, it's worth mentioning the fact that the word rot has become something of a meme in
rot
itself.
maxing.
Concepts like bed rotting have been bouncing around the internet for years, and perhaps much of this stems from the fact that humans are quite good at being self-destructive.
Yeah.
There's also the satirical side of things, where creators pretend to be experiencing brain rot, such as hepatitis BA4 referencing countless online bits of
I'm always interested in the world of satire and the way that everybody has coined this phrase, and every comment now whenever you're watching a video of something that's kind of cringy is people being like, this has to be satire, right? Please tell me this is satire, right? Yeah, a lot of it is satire, but some of it's just real, dude. Some people are strange and they do strange things, and the fact that you can't tell the difference anymore is really alarming to me. The fact that, I mean, and I don't mind the satirical videos. I think they're clever. I think they're interesting. But the fact that people like this are now indistinguishable from real people who are actually either on the spectrum or have some kind of issues or just plain out strange is alarming to me in a weird way, that we're sort of losing track of what the fabric of reality is because of what we viewed on our phones so much, that things that weren't normal at all to us before now seem normal to us because of all of this content that we're consuming.
playing in an intentionally low-quality manner.
And I think that's sort of the reason that the things that have come about in the past 10, 15 years have become so normalized. Things like OnlyFans or prank channels or being loud and obnoxious in public, all these kinds of things are now super normalized to us because of the dominoes that have fallen in the past. We've been sort of set up to be okay with this concept as we've gone forward in the world. And I'm not trying to make value judgments about any of those things in this moment. I just think that it has a lot less to do with it innately being an okay thing and a lot more to do with societal norms. Like when you talk about diet and things, I was talking to my stepdad the other day, and he was talking about how in other countries they'll eat animals that we don't eat here, and I was just talking about how it's just a societal thing. I mean, pigs are an extremely intelligent animal, and we eat them and we don't really feel anything about it. But all of a sudden, you know, another country eats rats or dogs or something, and we have this weird feeling about it. But it's all about societal norms and how, and I know that those are like racial prejudices a lot of times, and most people don't eat those things. But in countries where people have to fight for food, I mean, they will eat just about anything they can get their hands on. But it's about societal norms. If you eliminate the societal norm, then those things kind of go away. No one wants to be a pariah in their society. There will always be outcasts for sure, but the band of outcasts has grown over the years for sure, and they've become less of outcasts and become more just a portion of society. And I think in some ways it's a good thing, right? It's a good thing that we have normalized people who are different and on different spectrums of living than what everyone else is, because it's not fair that when you see somebody, you just assume that they're a weirdo or a bad person because they're different than something that you've seen before in your time being alive. But it is weird because once a band of people start getting attention for being that frequency, that type, you know, the alt people, the goth people, the whatever, there's always going to be people who just are craving attention and will become those things simply because they think it will get them attention. And I think that's a weird thing that is dangerous in some kinds of ways, because I think that it sort of takes individuals out of the equation a lot more, and that's unfortunate. I think that individuals are some of the best people in the world.
Which of course evokes comments from people who don't know it is satire, describing their content as actual brain rot.
POV, I'm bringing Ninja to get a low table fade, and Duke Dennis starts whizzing him up. Come on, Ninja, let's go get your low table fade.
The implication is that after watching too much of it, one becomes zombified. But anyone who spends an iota of time online has no doubt come across this phenomenon themselves. As such, brain rot can be perceived in a couple of different ways. Yes, sometimes we can suffer drastic consequences of being subjected to low-quality content and social media platforms designed to manipulate the dopamine switches in our brains to the point where we scroll for hours on end and feel like we've turned into a mindless zombie for the day. But on the other hand, it's okay to have a little bit of brain rot as a treat. You can enjoy posting or viral videos or goofy TikToks. It's just that the health...
Yeah, it's about what you enjoy at the end of the day, and like he's about to say, the healthy portion of it. You know, the balance is everything in life, and balance is such a hard skill to learn for a lot of people because our brains are so driven by dopamine and good feelings that if you get it really easily without having to fight for it in any kind of way, you'll probably end up going more for that easy dopamine than you will for the really hard dopamine. But as I said in yesterday's video, this thing that you need to train into yourself really is that there are rewards that you get in life that you can get from absolutely nowhere else if you push yourself through hard situations that you're not expecting or ready for. If you can accomplish tasks that you didn't think that you were able to accomplish before, there is so much reward there that you will never get from just watching videos like this all the time online. And the second that you realize that, you'll be free from this forever. You won't ever have to worry about it again. I don't ever have to worry about the consequences of TikTok on my brain because there are things that I want to do more 90% of the time because I know that they will give me significantly better rewards at the end of the day. And now those skills aren't super hard for me to use because I've already done the hard work of learning them.
The healthiest way to do this is to simply strike a balance. And once you've got that down pat, then suddenly brain rot content feels like less of a major threat than it ever used to be.
Yeah.
And looking at trends in the past, it isn't as if newer generations are inherently more prone to brain rot either. It's just that the massively popular low-quality content that is presented in...
Yeah, I mean, it went from books to radio to TV to video games to the internet. To social media now. I guess I would describe that as something other than the internet. It's the process. Young people want to waste their time. They have not learned the value of hard work yet. And when you learn the value of hard work, you no longer want to waste your time. You want to use it well. Because it's rewarding. It's plain and simple.
Numbers looked different back in the day. Before the internet was huge, it was TV. And before TV, even novels were considered a form of brain rot, as they represented addictive content produced at a high quantity. And so it would appear that the term is one that is new and extremely flexible when applied to the online and offline world, but in a way, it has existed forever. What meme would you guys like me to give a lesson in next? Let me know in the comments below.
I have heard stories from people, though, that they've been out at Walmart and heard, you know, groups of kids just yelling skibbity at each other over and over again, and parents that look like they're absolutely at their wits' end. And I do think it's real. I do think that kids, I mean, in general, are just kind of annoying. This is part of the reason that I don't want to have kids, is because kids think that everybody around them is there to pay attention to them. And the way that they go about getting that attention is just horrific. I was talking to my mom one time about how one of the worst things you can do to a child is to laugh at a joke that they make, because then they will just make that joke over and over and over and over again to the point that you want to unalive yourself, because it's just so annoying to hear it for the 1000th time. But give it a like. Lessons in Meme Culture is a good channel. If you haven't been on the internet as long as I have, and which I'm assuming that everyone here has, this kind of channel is very interesting to people. Like, I wish my mom would go and watch some of this stuff just to understand what is actually going on the internet and around the world. But yeah, good video. I hope everyone's doing well out there.